Hello, hello, and welcome. We are so excited that you have joined us for Power Chat, and this is Managing Change Part 2. We are doing the deep dive into the book Who Moved My Cheese. I'm Dr. Angela Hardin Mack, host of Power Chat. I will tell you a little bit about me, and then my beautiful guest will introduce herself, and then I'll go into more about the Power Chat, why this is taking place, and about the book. I'm Dr. Angela Hardin Mack, founder and CEO of Live Great Lives, where we host the academy, the membership, the network, and the mastermind. This this power chat here is one of the events that we sponsor. This is the quarterly roundtable discussion, and we focused on change, why it's important to manage change. With the quarterly roundtable discussions, it's about breakthrough. We look at a topic that's important for us to know, a life skill that's important for us to know or to become more proficient or skilled at it. And we talk about how this topic helps us to achieve breakthrough. And if you joined us on the first Power Chat show, you know that we had such an amazing time and we talked about change and why it is important. So we pick up, and again, this is a deep dive, and we talk about why it's so important for us to do this and for us to get going with this. I help, let me put this up here, the busy career woman relieve overload, to recharge her energies and her power, and to rebalance life priorities so she can feel great, succeed, and prosper. And this is what we do at Live Great Lives. And focusing on the quarterly breakthrough topics and sessions helps to recharge and helps to rebalance so that that busy career woman can feel great and she can be successful and she can be prosperous because we all are created for greatness and to live great lives, and it's about helping her in her greatness and to live her great life. So now I present to you my beautiful and amazing guest. And I tell you, we are going to have a great time tonight, or I should say today, again. So take it away, Tiffany.
Dr. Angela, thank you for having me on and thank you for allowing me to share this space and this phenomenal topic. I know Power Chat Part 2 is going to be amazing, but I'm Tiffany R. Easley, the SOAR strategist, and I teach people how to soar beyond the trauma of a diagnosis. But recently, I have tapped into the importance of soaring into your dream life, soaring into what it is that you want to do, that you're called to do in the earth, and helping you manifest just that. So this year, 2023, that's going to be the focus. I'm excited about this part 2 because part 1 was awesome. And I love this book. So I cannot wait to talk today and then hear you guys' feedback and then get comments and get posts and tags and all those things because you are truly in for a treat.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Now, Tiffany said a couple of key words. All of it was good, but this is why we work together. This is why we have so much fun working together. And as one of my brothers says, chop it up. She mentioned soaring. She mentioned manifesting. She mentioned dream life. And I think she even mentioned purpose. These are some of the concepts that we share when we talk about number one, how these things relate to us, because we still are soaring. We continue to level up. We continue to do things so that we can show up to be great and to live our great lives. And as we live and as we grow and as we are empowered, we are empowering other women. So we are building our communities. We are sharing our messages so that people can show up, so that people can soar. So I'm so excited for this opportunity to collaborate with Tiffany, and I'm glad that she is here with us. As she mentioned, we look forward to you being in the chat. Again, I forget how the phrase is on StreamYard or Facebook, but you have to enable some things so that you can pop up and your comments will be available. Share, share, share. Sharing is caring. So when we have something good, we want to share it with other people. Isn't that right, Tiffany?
Absolutely. Don't hoard it for yourself. Share it with everybody else.
Yes. Now, Tiffany, is this where they can connect with you after to get information if they want to get more about the book or about how to manage change?
Absolutely. You can connect with me either through that email or at my website. That's absolutely the best way to get in contact with me.
Perfect. And for those individuals, if you're interested, I do have a PDF available if you want to look at what we talked about last time and you want to get some information at info at angelahmspeaks.com. This is what you would email. You can put in there cheese and the team will know to get that information to you. And this is the address for the website. All right, so Tiffany, let's go ahead and dive into the book. So this is the book, Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. And this was written in 1990. Mention I said 1990. 1990 is not the 2000, 1994, 1998. And at the top of this book, it says 1998. It says over 28 million copies sold worldwide. That's important. We both read this book years ago when it was released. I think we both have read it a couple of times because it is so clear, easy to read, and easy to understand. And you go, it helps me to really think about who moved my cheese. And in the book, cheese represents the things we want in life. So Tiffany, tell us about, give us a summary and a couple key things that you found interesting in the book.
So one of my favorite things in the book is really embracing this whole concept of change happens. I think we talked about in the part 1 how somewhere along the line of life that people felt change is negative and like it's not going to happen. Change is going to happen. So how we react, or should I say respond to it, matters. That was one thing that this book really helps me to really lean into, is understanding change is going to happen. How I respond to that change determines how I will move past the change or move with the change and be productive. Because we miss that a lot because we're so busy, fighting it, resisting it, that we miss the need to move. And then the other thing was look for it. Don't let it find you. Look for the change. Expect things to change, because if we don't change, then we're not living. Because as long as we live, change is going to happen. For example, the weather. This has been an interesting year already. It's February. I know where I am, we've had 70-degree days and 30-degree nights. So change happens. So if you anticipate it, it doesn't become such an agitator in your life. So those are a few things that just come to mind when I think about what we've talked about and what we're going to dive into today.
Wow, you said right. We need to look for it. You said that we can miss it or be slow in it because we aren't paying attention. We're busy, and also resist. And that's a word that I think is very important now, resist or resistance, and that we definitely need to be mindful. There are many things we need to be mindful of in life. We need to be aware. And because we have so much data coming in, we have so many stimuli, and a lot of what we are exposed to is quick, fast, instant, microwave, boom, 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 boom. We are just bombarded with that. So unless we are alert and aware and intentional, it's like kind of like going through and things will go by. So you said busy, and we need to be aware. A couple of things you mentioned too last time, Tiffany. We talked about some of the feelings or emotions people may have, and you mentioned fear, and also you mentioned anger. Again, people can be fearful, and people may also be angry about change. Would you like to chop that up a little bit?
Sure. So the two are connected, right? So the fear of the change, if you don't address it, turns to anger because you get mad, you get upset, you get angry because the resistance, which is fed by the fear, is causing you to become angry. And I believe I shared an example last time of how I've seen change in my organization multiple times. And there were times when I was angry because I didn't want to embrace the change because I was afraid of it. I was afraid of what it was going to look like. And this time of year, every year, my organization goes through change. And I sense it. People are, what you think is going to happen? How do you think it? And I say to myself, it doesn't even matter because change is bound to happen. The only people that are not changing are people that are no longer with us. If you're still in the earth, you're changing. And so my response now becomes, what are you willing to do once the change hits the surface? And are you preparing for the change? If you are fearful of the change, it's usually because of a lack of preparation. Have I positioned myself to withstand the change? Am I prepared to do better or do something different during the change? And then after the change, am I able and willing to help others who need to process the change, right? So it's all in your perception of how you handle it. So I go in expecting change every day. I, I just do. And that way, if it happens, or I should say, when it happens, I'm not afraid. So the fear has dissipated because I'm no longer like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm afraid. No, because I'm going to embrace that change. And when all the cards fall, I'm going to be okay because I would anticipated the change. Number one, because I'm still breathing. Number two, because we know it happens. And number three, I know that whatever that change is, I'm equipped to make a great decision on how that change will impact me.
I hope everyone on this broadcast, I hope you have your pen and paper, or you have your thumbs going, or you have your fingers going, because you are taking notes, because she just dropped, I think I stopped counting after like number 8, but she just dropped a bunch of gems. Anticipation, managing, being prepared, why the fear may come, why the anger may come. Change will happen. It's not if, it's when and how we respond to it. So this is good information. This is for all of us, not just if you're a certain age, or not if you, male or female, or not if you're at the start of your career versus middle, or you are preparing for retirement. This is real life. This is important because we will have changes continuously. We prepare for them, we look for them, and then how we embrace the change. That's another word Tiffany mentioned. She mentioned always. So that is key. Change is a process, and change has 3 components. We delved into that some at the first, or on the first power chat. You have where you are now at the start of the process. You have the middle, which is the transition. You're not at the start, you're not at the future pace, what it will be, but you're changing, you are evolving, you are transitioning. And then after the transition, after the change is completed, then you get to the new, whatever that new thing is, a new job, a new degree, a new relationship, a new home, a new process that is being implemented at the job, or in your company, or in your business, or mindset. We talk about change, right, Tiffany? How we look at our mindsets, how we look at our attitudes, how we look at our actions. So the start, the transition, which is the middle, and then we have the end. So understanding what change is and managing it, very important, because as Tiffany mentioned, how you respond makes a difference. Do you whine and complain and kick and resist? It makes it more difficult. Or do you recognize and say, you know what, this is a natural part of life. Now, if you prepare for it, you go ahead to the next step. If you weren't prepared for it, and then you have a workaround, or you get to it. And this is part of the theme of the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And the subtitle is An Amazing Way to Deal with Change in Your Work and in Your Life. 4 characters in the book, and how the characters manage change. The cheese move. Cheese represents the things in life that we want. As we said the last time, we really encourage you to get the book. So we didn't tell you all the characters' names, and we didn't go into great details. Number one, we have, a short period of time here to really get these gems to you. But one of the goals is we really encourage you, get the book. This is one that you would like to have. We encourage you to really think about including this in your personal library. So the 4 characters and how they responded to change. So Tiffany, let's go ahead and turn to page 74. This is where it has the handwriting on the wall. We had so much fun last time. We talked about the things there. So Tiffany, when you get to that place, if you want to go ahead and read all of those, the topics, the key topics that were presented in the book.
Sure. So change happens. They keep moving the cheese. Anticipate change. Get ready for the cheese to move. Monitor change. Smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. Adapt to change quickly. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy new cheese. Change. Move with the cheese. Enjoy change, savor the adventure, and enjoy the taste of new cheese. And then finally, be ready to change quickly and enjoy it again and again. They keep moving the cheese.
They keep moving the cheese. So tonight, I'm sorry, I keep saying right now, we are going to talk about change, and we talk about monitor change, correct, Tiffany?
Yes.
All right, so go ahead and take it away, please.
So, as I was thinking about what we're going to talk about, this monitoring change and how it works, Dr. Angela and I both have a corporate side of us, and that's kind of how we connected. And we do the other piece of our life, which is entrepreneurship, building businesses, and all those things, CEOs and presidents, and all of the things, right? Many hats. This monitor change is so important because she talked about how there's 3 parts to change the process. That's the same thing with monitoring change. You cannot just throw change on people because you're going to get resistance. And that resistance, sometimes, depending on the people, will actually push them into anger, resentment, withdrawal, all the negative things that you don't want them to do. So I love the subcaption in the book. It says, smell the cheese often so you know when it's getting old. Change is required when what you're doing no longer works. So I told y'all in part 1 that I loved cheese. Like, cheese was my thing. But one thing that's not good is old cheese. It doesn't smell good. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't make you feel good. So you have to know when what you're doing is no longer working, and you have to be willing to change. And here's the deal. If you're monitoring all the processes, all the things that you have in place, and you're smelling the cheese often, right? Then you can sense when it's time to move, when it's time to shift, and even the direction in which you need to go. So in monitoring change, you have to have some things in place. And ironically enough, I was reading an article, and it was saying that, and this really tickled me. They were saying that in order to monitor change, you have to be innovative. And I thought for a minute, I was like, innovation change. And then it dawned on me. Innovation is creating what's not already in place so that you get what you need. It's change. If you're innovative, you will embrace change because you know what? I have this innovation. I'm able to stick and move. I can do all these things. And that was huge when I connected the dots. The other thing, which is near and dear to me, I'm very biased when it comes to this, I'll tell you, is training and delivery. So if you think about it, monitoring change hinges on these 2 things: innovation and training and delivery. And you wonder why? Well, because when you create something new, you have to have controls in place to test that new thing and make sure it works, right? If it is not working like you expected it to, you have to tweak the new change, right? The monitors and the controls. So to fix that, if it's a gap, if it's not working quite like it should, how do you fix it? Training. So when I thought about it, I was like, this is a good article. This is really good, because if you're going to embrace change and move through change, you have to monitor that thing. You have to have processes, procedures, controls in place. So when you make that change, you're able to test the change. Because sometimes we have an idea, oh, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that, and it may not work like it should. But if you don't have a monitoring process in place, you can't switch back to anything or adapt to the next level because you're not monitoring the change.
Monitor the change, process, systems, looking at it. Many times we refer to it as looking at our metrics, right? Or we look at the analytics because we put something in place, we implement it, and then we watch it, we monitor it because we're looking for the anticipated result or results. And then we look at the results, the metrics or analytics compared to what the goal was at the start. Are we on target? Are we close to the target, but maybe below? Are we above the threshold? Have we exceeded what we want to do. And the result, whether we're on target, below, or above, those three pieces of data, or the data related to the result, then guides us in terms of what the next steps are. Wow. So, Tiffany, that was a beautiful way to tell us and tell the audience. And definitely, if you're in your job or your business or your career right now, you're going through change, then I know you can identify. Tiffany, what could that look like in a personal life? So that was beautiful in terms of how we manage things in our jobs, definitely corporate. But what could it look like personally?
It's funny you asked me that, and I didn't know she was going to ask me that. So for those of y'all watching, this is straight off the dome, as some people say, straight off the cuff. I didn't know that was coming, but I sense, right? I smell the cheese often, right, in my life. So I sense there's a change, and it's personal for me. And I've been I don't want to give the book away, but I've been teeter-tottering, because I'm not gonna say the other word. I had them two words, and I was like, nah, they ain't gotta read the book, gotta get the book, gotta get the book. But I've been teeter-tottering, like, should I participate? Should I not participate? Should I go? Should I not go? All of the things. And one of my accountability partners said to me, how is that benefiting you? You showing up in that space, putting in 100%, taking time off work, showing up, doing the things that you do. How do you benefit from being in that space? And I thought, that's a good question. Do I? So in our life, change happens, and especially in our relationships. Now, guys, I'm not talking about with necessarily your boo. I'm talking about relationships across the board. Your business relationships, your platonic relationships, your family relationships. Things change. And because we've already talked about the fact that change took on some negative connotation, we don't know where or why. A lot of times there's frustration in that change when you recognize, hey, I no longer fit in that situation with that group of people or that thing or that product or that what have you. But in your personal life, there is nothing wrong with scaling back and saying, you know what? I love this. I love what it is. I love what it does. I love who they are. But where I am right now and where I'm going at this moment, I can't do that. That could be a friend, that could be a product, that could be your family. It could be a myriad of things. Life changes with females specifically. For those of us who are single and our girlfriends get married, right? They become a wife. It's a different feel, right? Because now they're married, you're single, it looks different. But you find ways to navigate the change so that you don't lose that relationship. But you also have to understand, if you're not willing to change and embrace the change, that your girlfriend is now married, right? Your friend girl, she got a boo and you happy for her. If you don't recognize that you have to change the way you guys interact, it'll be a struggle. Same thing within our jobs where if we work, and even in our family, if you move away from your family and you create a whole new world, sometimes your family doesn't understand that move. They don't understand how you've grown, and they may feel you outgrew them. You haven't outgrown them, but your focus is different. But you find ways to navigate the change by doing what they enjoy sometimes, right? And by removing yourself from your new place or your new spot and going back to your old spot where they're comfortable, but being who you are and being true to yourself since the change. Because a lot of times the agitation is you proving that you've changed. You don't have to prove that. The proof is in the pudding. They already know that. Mm-hmm. So those are all the things I thought about, because I was like, you know what? You force the fit, right? I was like, I need to fit. And then I was like, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I'm trying to fit and I don't fit. Sometimes you're not meant to fit because you have changed. What you learn to do is in the midst of the change, you learn how to flow in that new space and be different at the same time.
Mhm. That's good. That's good. So you heard it, and we have given examples of how managing change works professionally and also personally. So as we get ready to, and Tiffany is going to talk about change, and that's going to take us in. I'm going to read just a couple of things from the book. So it says, as one of the characters looked back on things, his name was Hall. He realized that the cheese at the cheese station had not just disappeared overnight as he once believed. He now realized that the change probably would not have taken him by surprise if he had been watching what was happening all along and if he had anticipated change. Maybe that's what the other two characters were doing. So if you have not really had the chance to think about change, if you have not been paying attention and monitoring, we are here saying, okay, we can be the ones like the two that said, you know what, change is happening. And then you'll be able to take a peek at what's taking place in your life so that you can be prepared and anticipate that when change is happening. So Tiffany, change, tell us about that.
Okay, guys, this is another plug. I love this book. Get the book. It says change, move with the cheese. Now, I shared in part one how I was that girl who was not gonna change. Like, this is me. This is how I do it. I'm not changing. That didn't work too well. That didn't work too well because as you grow, as you mature, personally, professionally, even spiritually, you have to learn how to change. So it says change, move with the cheese. Now, Dr. Angela just read a portion of the book where one of the characters was like, had he looked around, got familiar with what was going on around him, smelled the cheese often, did the things that were in front of him, change wouldn't have been so bad. But the problem is we get so focused on what's right in front of us that we miss everything else around us. This is what I do. This is my regimen, Sunday through Saturday. I don't change. I don't do anything outside the box. We talked about innovation earlier. We talked about training delivery earlier. We don't do anything to get the creativity of our minds and expand our ability to grow and to do more, that we miss the moment of change. So moving with the cheese means moving with that one thing or that two things or 15 things that you desire in your life. One of the things I desired in my life was to do what we're doing right now, which is training. This is literally a type of training. Speaking to people and imparting wisdom into them. That was a desire I had. But in order to meet that desire, guess what Tiffany had to do? I had to change. I had to change my seat at the table. I had to change my perception of how I walked into the room, because as a trainer, as a facilitator, as a leader, I can't walk in the room like I don't belong there. I got to walk in the room like I belong there. So I had to change. And then you actually have to learn how to go to the cheesecake with the fancy cheese before you start eating the fancy cheese. Okay? A good example. If you know that your desire is to be a multi-millionaire, but you still only hang out with people that make six figures, you're not smelling new cheese. You're not looking for new cheese. You don't even know what new cheese is going to smell like because you still smelling the same cheese. Change is inevitable. You have to see it before you see it. So in order to change, you need to expect to walk and do something different every day. When I decided, you know what, I want to do this. I want to be in training and development. That's what I like. That's what I want to do. I didn't just sit and say, oh, okay, well, it'll come. It'll hit me on the head. And I'll just step into, no. What did I do? Every day I looked for new cheese. I looked for people who were doing what I wanted to do. I had conversations, right? Smell the cheese, had conversations. So how do you do this thing? How do you show up? How do you make it work? Because I moved with the cheese. Now, when the change actually happened, I had to be willing to leave all the old cheese, right? At that cheese station and move with new cheese. I didn't take the old cheese with me. I left the old cheese at that station, moved with the cheese to the new station, and I'm exploring cheese I've never had before, right? The ability to link arms with other people, other trainers, other directors, other VPs, for them to see what we do and how we interact and be innovative and creative and how we deliver training and all those things. See, you have to move with the cheese. You cannot, and please don't like move with the cheese and take your old cheese, because you don't need your old cheese where you're going, because the old cheese doesn't fit where you're going. That old cheese was for over there. Over here is new cheese, right? So change is inevitable, and you have to move with it like you deserve it. Okay? Like you deserve to be at the table, you deserve to be in the room, you deserve to tackle, have, um, occupy, take over, subdue the thing that you're looking forward to, whatever your cheese is, right? So the thing, replace it with what your thing is. If it's a job, if it's a spouse, if it's children, whatever it is, you have to show up like you deserve that cheese. You don't go to the grocery store, go to the cheese case and say, "Oh, I want Swiss cheese today, but I'll settle for blue cheese." No, you get Swiss cheese, right? So that's how it is with change. If you are expecting to elevate, why would you decrease yourself so you could increase? That you don't do that. So move with the cheese and change.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tiffany. That was beautiful. Again, I'm sure you have had pen and paper ready, devices ready to take notes, because she beautifully told us about why it's important to move with the cheese. She said you can't take the old cheese with you. It fit the old place, not the new, and look for the cheese. And so to wrap up, want to share with you, we again want to say grab the book, because it is so important to have in the library. And what we were reading from was this page here, the handwriting on a wall. And two of the characters moved early on to find the cheese, two didn't, but one of the two who remained behind, that character eventually got going. So when we see this here, the handwriting on the wall, this is actually what the character did. He wrote things on the wall as he had these revelations: monitor change, adapt quickly, etc. And towards the end, he said, you know what, I'm writing this on the wall. Hopefully, the character who didn't move will see it, but this is here if he decides to move. So he created this path. So if that other person said, okay, I'm going to leave because the cheese moved, there was a roadmap for him to follow. So we have shared this book with you. So think of Dr. Angela and Tiffany, that we have given you the handwriting on the wall. So we have mapped out this process for you. We have revealed the way. So if you have been stuck, if you have been fearful, if you have been resistant about change, if your cheese has moved, if you have not been monitoring, then you can check out the handwriting on the wall, follow these steps, and it will move you from the old place to the new place and help you to leave those things behind. Now we're going to the word leave those things behind, so you can forget those things that are behind and look forward and press forward towards the new cheese, and to be prepared for it. And like Tiffany says, prepare how you are going to show up with your new cheese in the rooms where your cheese will be located. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. I'm going to put your information up. And ladies and gentlemen, you have tuned in, and thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for sharing. This has been Power Chat. This is part 2 in the Managing Change. And today on this chat, we did the deep dive into Who Moved My Cheese. This is sponsored by Dr. Angela and Live Great Lives Academy. And this is, I should say, the quarterly breakthrough discussion for the Live Great Lives Academy, and it's about managing change. So, Tiffany, parting words for us, and I'll put your information up.
So, parting words are: if you are not smelling your cheese, get to smelling your cheese, smell it often, so you know when it's getting old, and no longer anticipate or be afraid of change. Go with the change. Nike says it best, right? Just do it. If you feel change happening, lean into the change and just trust that on the other side of the change is the thing that you want. It's the cheese that you desire. It's that one thing that you've been searching for. And because you haven't embraced the change, you can't get to it. So embrace the change and dive into what's new for you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I put two things up here for Tiffany. This is the email address, admin@tiffanyreasley.com /TiffanyReasley.com. Again, she is the CEO and founder, right, of SOAR. She's a SOAR strategist. And this one lists her telephone number, 469-305-0957. So you want to connect with the SOAR strategist. You want to connect with her. She dropped some gems tonight. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for being my guest on the Power Chat. We have had an amazing time. 2 sessions of Power Chat, and we both just adore this book, and it has been phenomenal in our lives. I'm Dr. Angela. You can reach me, and definitely if you want that PDF for notes, info@angelahmspeaks.com. And the website for the business is www.livegreatlives.com. I look forward to seeing you at the next Power Chat. So stay tuned about what the topic will be, because it's about breaking through limitations so that you can be great and to live your great lives, your great life. And again, for professional women who are experiencing overload, relief, recharge, and rebalance. Until next time, I'm Dr. Angela, and I want you to know, be well, succeed, and prosper. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tiffany. And thank you to our audience. Make it a great day. Peace.